A Texas man will not face charges after gunning down his own daughter. Back in January of last year, Chris Harrison and his 23-year-old daughter Lucy got into an argument about President Trump a few days before his second inauguration. Lucy's boyfriend, Sam Littler, told a court that the father and daughter butted heads a lot about Chris's conservative views, particularly his purchase of a 9mm handgun. Littler says he and Lucy were about to leave for the airport when Chris took his daughter's hand and led her into his bedroom. 15 seconds later, a gunshot. Chris told police he had offered to show his daughter the gun after seeing a segment on TV about gun violence. And then, quote, "As I lifted the gun to show her, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I did not understand what had happened. Lucy immediately fell." Here's the thing. He also admitted to being a recovering alcoholic who fell off the wagon the day of the shooting. Now, given all this evidence, a Texas grand jury decided not to indict him for the killing. A British coroner called Chris, quote, reckless and a teaser who showed his daughter the gun in an effort to rile her up. Now, Sam Littler, the boyfriend, didn't specify how President Trump factored into the argument that the pair had shortly before Lucy's death. Chris's attorney said in a statement that he has fully accepted the consequences.
Hello everyone, I'm Nambu and welcome back to the channel. Today's story is a painful reminder of how divided politics have become in America. A reported dispute between a father who strongly supports former President Donald Trump and his daughter allegedly escalated into a tragic outcome as a political disagreement turned into something far more serious. Let's talk about it. Politics is supposed to be about ideas, policy and leadership, but in recent years, it has become deeply personal. For some families, disagreements over Trump and the MAGA movement have created real tension inside their homes. In this case, the report says a heated argument over political belief spilled out of control. Instead of healthy debate, emotions took over, and the consequences were devastating. This isn't just about Trump, it's about how political identity has become so intense that some people see disagreement as betrayal. Social media, cable news, and constant outrage have made it harder for people to separate politics from personal relationship. When loyalty a political figure becomes stronger than family bonds, that's when things can become dangerous.
So imagine you're a girl, you live in the UK, but your dad lives in Texas. So you fly over to the States to go visit him. But when you're there, you get into a very heated debate about Trump. Obviously, right? The guy's in the news like every single day. You're now in this very heated debate about Trump with your dad in Texas. And you can see that he's very obviously and very vehemently defending him. And so you decide to call him out. More specifically, you're highlighting all the sexual things that Trump is being accused of. And so you ask your dad, well, what if all those things that Trump is being accused of happened to me, your daughter? What if he did those things to me? To which then your dad replied, well, I've got actually 2 other daughters that actually live with me here in the States, so I don't really give a fuck. Now, upon saying that, he then whips out his gun and shoots you in the fucking chest. At close range. Shoots his own daughter in the heart and murders you over a disagreement over Trump. And so now this obviously goes to trial, and you want to know what happens? He's able to get off basically scot-free because he's somehow able to convince the judge and the jury that this was somehow some freak family accident and he didn't mean to do it. And then the court basically says, fair game. She's not a US citizen anyway. Rest in peace, Lucy Harrison, because this story is beyond messed up.
You took the life of your daughter because of political differences? This story that I'm following is absolutely horrible. Lucy Harrison, 23 years old, living over in Great Britain, was visiting her dad in Texas when they seemed to get into an argument over the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. And according to the story, it seems that the dad pulled out a shotgun and took his daughter's life. The first thing I want to tell you is that I do not condone this. And this man doesn't represent anything about who we are. His daughter, Lucy Harrison, passed away on January 10th. But what's strange, up until now, no criminal charges have been brought up against her father, Chris Harrison, and it says after a grand jury in Collin County declined to indict him. According to the boyfriend that day, he said Lucy and her father had a big argument and a big fight. over a dispute over the president. She asked a question of her dad. Hey, Dad, what happens if I was that girl that was possibly allegedly assaulted by Donald Trump? Would you care then? The dad's reply back was, well, I have 2 other daughters that live with me. So no, it wouldn't bother me that much. So of course that upset her. She ran upstairs. She was finished with this trip. She's gonna go upstairs, pack her things. Her and her boyfriend gonna go back to the United Kingdom. Next thing you know, her dad went to talk to her. They went into a separate bedroom. And behind closed doors, all you heard was bang. As I'm reading the story further, the weapon that was used was a Glock 9mm semi-automatic handgun. And his father is quoted saying that he was just showing his daughter the weapon and it went off by accident. Not to mention that the dad was an alcoholic and he happened to relapse that day, drinking 17 ounces of white wine. In his statement to the court, Harrison said, as I lifted the gun to show her, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I did not understand what happened. Lucy immediately fell. The whole point of this post, whether the father meant to take the daughter of his life or not, is that when you are emotional, you must walk away. And to lose the life of your daughter over political differences is absolutely a crime in itself. Don't address situations when you're emotional, because 99.9% of the time, your response is going to be so much worse than what you were actually upset about to begin with. But this beautiful girl is gone, and when this father sobers up, he's going to have to live with the rest of his life without his beautiful daughter by his side.
No charges were brought against this father in Prosper, Texas, who shot and killed his daughter after an argument over politics. Buckle up. This one is crazy. This father is originally from the UK, and it looks like he moved to the United States when his daughter was a child. Reportedly, she was a UK citizen, and she was just visiting her dad in Texas at the time that he killed her. But that has nothing to do with whether the charges could be filed in Texas or not. Even though she's a citizen of the UK, she was killed in Texas, and Texas absolutely has jurisdiction to prosecute a homicide that occurs within their state. But the question everybody wants to know is, why are no charges being brought? So reportedly, the father and daughter frequently argued about politics, with the father being a number 45, number 47 supporter, and on the day of the shooting, they were arguing again. At one point, she raised a hypothetical scenario about being assaulted, and this probably was in connection with something trending in the news, and he responded with a very nasty comment saying he wouldn't be upset if she did get assaulted because he has 2 other daughters. So understandably, she was upset. She left the room. Later, according to the reports, the father took her hand and said that he wanted to talk. The next thing the family heard was a gunshot, and she was on the ground. The father apparently was trying to show her.
You telling me this father unalived his own daughter over Trump? So you have the daughter named Lucy Harrison was visiting her dad from the UK. Now his name is Chris Harrison. All this started from an argument that both of these two had about the president. Now she goes on to ask her dad, how would you feel if I was the little girl? If I was the woman that they be S.N. in these files on that island? Now allegedly, y'all, the shit that he told her, no daughter want to hear this from their father. He told her it wouldn't even upset him at all because he have 2 more other daughters than her. They said she was shocked. She was sick. Feelings was hurt. She like, what? For real? He rubbing it in her face like, yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Trump her. Now, this time they said that he was very drunk too as well. This the same day that she about to leave to go back home. So hours before her flight take off, her daddy still drunk, calls her into his room. Tell her, look, I want to show you this pew-pew. Now they said when he showed her the pew-pew went off, hit her chest. She did later on pass from those injuries, y'all. Father was taken in and questioned by the police. Chris told the police when he lifted up the pew-pew, he then heard a loud bang and he didn't know what was going on. Then he see Lucy, his daughter, immediately fall to the ground. Cap, bullshit, you didn't like her. He didn't like her. He also admitted that he was drinking and he couldn't recall if his finger was on the trigger. What made this even more fucked up, y'all? You would think by him unaliving somebody, you automatically get some jail time, right? Not only that, being intoxicated when you do it. What's the difference from when you get a DUI, you crash and kill somebody? But you telling me just because he was standing up for Trump and he a YT, he don't get no time? Y'all, the county had declined to even indict this man on any charges, and they let him go free. No, you can't. This shit can't be real.
A man in Texas shot and killed his own daughter last January. He is being investigated for manslaughter charges, given that his statement is that it was a total accident. And over a year later, we found out that they were in an argument about Donald Trump. And I am sure you can imagine which of those two people was defending Donald Trump in that argument. The woman who died, Lucy Harrison, was visiting her dad after the holidays with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend is who we've got this count from. He says that Lucy was asking her dad how he would feel if she was one of Donald Trump's sexual assault victims, and he said he wouldn't mind because he has 2 daughters that actually live with him. I'm not a lawyer or a judge, and I don't want a reason to have to interact with either of them anytime soon, so I'm not going to comment on any of the criminal activity that did or did not happen on this day. That will be for a jury of his peers to decide. What I will say is that this is exactly what women actually get out of what conservative men call a traditional family unit. Conservative men describe themselves as protectors and providers to entice women into relationships with them and entice them into starting families with them, when really they don't want any of the sort. They don't want to love you unconditionally. They don't want to take care of you. They want to be in charge of you and your children. And if you do marry that man, and if you do have children with that man, you will be in service to him. He will own you. Your basic safety and your kids' basic safety will be dependent on you submitting to everything he says, wants, does. And the thing is, I think conservative men are so close to getting this, because I do see the open complaining online all the time that conservative men can't find somebody to have a traditional romantic relationship with. Sometimes they can't even get to a first date if that woman knows that they're a conservative. And I actually agree on a surface level that your political beliefs shouldn't necessarily be a hindrance to you finding love. So why are they? That's what you have to be asking yourself. If you can identify that the problem is your political beliefs, why would that prevent you from finding a woman who wants to go out with you? The women you encounter who you might potentially ask on a date have been learning for decades, since they were a little girl, since they were too young to even understand what they were observing, that being a conservative man does equal being in control. If a woman can't trust her own father, the man she's known longer than any other man on the planet and who is supposed to have loved her unconditionally that entire time, because of his conservative values, how would she learn to trust a complete stranger with those same values? We don't want men in our lives who we think might cause us physical harm or worse if we disagree with who they voted for president.
No political disagreement should ever cost someone their life. At the end of the day, leaders come and go, but family is supposed to remain. This tragedy should be a wake-up call about how we handle political differences in our own homes. What do you think? Has politics gone too far in dividing families? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.